the number 78 takes
Okay,
pole position, already burnt through his 2 contact warnings on the first lap. Has got a third, has got a penalty, won't be able to go.
Right, hello, welcome to Ella Park, and a big thanks to the RAF for the flyby. There you are. Red Arrows were a bit busy, but still wanted to do something to signify the magnitude of the occasion. So here we are, is Ella Park. That's what it looks like, lovely. And that's me, that's my face. And I'm a little bit anxious because I have just the most disgusting array of talent to contend with in our first heat. Actually, all 3 heats, but particularly Heat 1 and Heat 3. We've got the Holmes brothers, we've got Darrell Lowe, got Mo Hassan, Tim Williams. They're all coming for me, and this is my pole start. I haven't been on pole for a little while. We're just going out for our 4 minutes of practice here. Very, very little grip, but then this happens. I cannot believe it. The camera starts absolutely fine. And then we just get nothing but a frozen screen. So I've used the very, very good Alpha Live footage, which is coming up here now. So I'll let you listen to this.
Come in the form of Tom Angier, leading them away in the 26. Eyes on the lights, the engine notes rise as the green is shown to them. Angier in that 26, leading them away. Good start from Darrell Lowe from second, actually. Probably the strongest start we've had from a second place so far. He's still side by side with the leader as they go into Spoon. Mo Hassan looking to buy into this as well, though, having started third on the grid. Fair play to Darrell Lowe. He'll have the upper hand going into this next corner, and that's going to be the first time we've seen someone in second retain it so far today. In fact, Mo Hassan has been jumped by Joe Holmes and Kurt Holmes in all of that. So good start for both Joe and Kurt Holmes, and Mo Hassan's feeling a little bit jumped upon there, maybe. Luke Elliott as well in the 33 ahead of Hassan now, as well as someone's getting a little airy through paddock corner but manages to keep it pointing the right way. Good start, though, for Tom Angier, and a brilliant start, I have to say, from second place for Darrell Lowe to retain that second place.
So, at the risk of ruining some much better commentary from the Alpha Live guys and Double Dash Media, I'm just going to take you through my my race here. So you can see that the Holmes brothers have already got past Darrell Lowe, and you've got Tim Williams and Mo Hassan behind me, Ed Gordon as well behind him. For the first lap or two, I was pretty pleased, actually. I thought I was going to get swallowed up straight away, but I'm still there. And actually, as the boys behind me have been fighting, I was able to pull out a sort of a very small gap. At the moment, it looks like it's 0.6 of a second over the line. But the inevitable happens. Joe Holmes up the inside of me. Now, that's okay, really. And one of the reasons I was so angry that the GoPro didn't work, the world's most irritating GoPro, was that there was some wonderful footage of Joe driving and being such a hugely talented and successful Club 100 driver. It was a brilliant opportunity to learn from him. And obviously that footage is now lost. So very, very sorry I couldn't share it with you. All I can say is this guy is absolutely smooth as silk. Very, very little slide. He sort of backed into that corner a little bit there, didn't he? But everywhere else, very, very smooth. And we had a quick chat afterwards, and I think I was definitely over driving, conscious of the fact of all of this talent behind me. I was over driving slightly, and actually once I was able to follow Joe, my driving massively improved, and you can see here that I was able to stick with him largely over the course of this lap or first lap that he's overtaken me. And actually that was the fastest lap. So by virtue of copying off of Joe Holmes's homework, I've managed to improve my driving quite considerably. So now I'm the mediocre filling in the elite Holmes sandwich. And if I can stay there, then I have to be honest. Yeah, that is probably one of my biggest achievements in Club 100 racing to date.
Comes through. This is at the front though. Joe Holmes, as you say, Andrew. Tom Angier. Do you know what? there are many people in this paddock who would not necessarily elect to be in a home sandwich.
Nope.
And to be honest with you, many drivers who, if they were, wouldn't remain as such for very long.
No.
And I think Tom's doing a very good job at holding on to this one and indeed keeping Joe Holmes very honest here. This is fantastic to see from the driver of the number 26.
Second place is the best result for Tom Angier in one of these heats so far this season. Just the single one of them has been in a finals. 15th is his best result so far this year when it comes to the big race. At the moment is between a driver who's won 13 of these heats so far this season and another who's won 8. This is a very good performance indeed. 25 seconds remaining on the clock. They will see the last lap ball. In fact, Tom Angier is going for a move on Joe Holmes, but is now going to be on the outside. Kurt Holmes will see the lane down the inside. Maybe that was a little bit bold from Tom Angier to try and go round the outside through the pit exit hairpin. It opened the door for Kurt Holmes and through stepped the driver second in the championship. Darrell Lowe's not done as well, still there in 4th place. But for Joe Holmes now, that should be job done. He's got a gap to his brother behind. Doesn't need to push too hard. On his way to another haul of heat points. Darrell Lowe down the inside and takes 3rd place away from Tom Angier. Mo Hassan's coming into this as well. Edward Gordon's having a great finish to this race. He's currently the fastest driver out on circuit. The top 7 covered by less than 3 seconds. Darrell Lowe now having to defend from Tom Angier as they go into the hairpin. Mo Hassan's going to have a look down the inside, but it's been straightforward for Joe Holmes. Moves himself 1 step closer to retaking the heavyweight sprint championship. That's a win in Heat 3 for Joe Holmes. Kurt Holmes across the line.
Okay, so a P4 in my first heat. Now that for me feels like a huge victory. I thought I was going to be like 11th in that, and the opportunity to follow Joe for such a long time, and be, as I said, the mediocre filling in the Holmes sandwich was really, really good actually. So whatever else happens today, I'm going to be pretty pleased. But yeah. As the commentator said, a bit bold to go around the outside of Joe Holmes. I knew it was a stupid thing to do, but I don't regret doing it. It might be my only ever chance to try and go around the outside of a 7 times champion, the guy who's had more success than anyone else in Club 100 history. Club 100 has been going for like 20, 30 years or something, isn't it? So, He's kind of a big wheel as we just go a little bit wide and let Adam Wright through. This is our second heat, by the way, and we were starting P7 in this one. So work to do to try and move forward. And Adam Wright, who's going to leave today second in the championship. He's obviously a very, very talented driver. He makes a move on Damien Smith there, and we're just going to make our way through. We go on the curb to try and give him room. He gives us room as well. But he's through. He's made up 2 places. But he's going to be another very, very useful guy to follow. So the Holmes brothers at the start of the day were P1 and P2 in the championship. Adam Wright is going to leave here today, P2 in the championship, so he overtakes Kurt Holmes. It'll be useful if we can to try and follow Adam Wright as well, because he's obviously very, very talented. But you see, this is our perennial problem, just taking a little bit too much speed into some of these corners, and it's ruining our exits. So again, they're close up on the brakes, and I think Adam is probably, perhaps braking a little bit early. I think this is Jacob Harris in the black suit ahead of us. I mean, it's come together at the apex. I don't know why I don't try and push. Do you know what? I think that's just on our left-hand side is Glenn Orford. I think I would have ordinarily tried to push Adam Wright through and then go through on the inside myself. But I think Glenn Orford is right on my tail here, and I think he had his nose sort of halfway up the inside of me, so I couldn't move left. But yeah, just on track conditions today, high grip, which is what I like, but very, very odd. There was loads and loads of rubber down. When we did the track walk in the morning, it was almost like, I don't know if you've ever been to a particularly shit club, and there's like, you know, sticky, I don't know, snake bite or Alco pop's been spilt all over the floor and no one's really washed it. You know, you walk across the dance floor and you can hear your shoes like sticking. That's almost like what the track surface was like today. But this rubber that went down didn't really agree with the Dunlop rubber that we were running on these Club 100 karts. And actually, if you were on the wrong part of the track, it was really, really easy to just get bagfuls of understeer and just be sent really, really wide. And this is something that we're going to demonstrate rather nicely, I think, in this lap. As we're following Jacob Harris around here, trying to keep it nice and clean. I have to say, my driving in this heat was not as good as it was following Joe Holmes in the first heat. Just reverting to type ever so slightly and over driving ever so slightly, but yeah, if you have a look at this here, yeah, there we are. I was just on the wrong part of a track. Glenn Orford, who's just gone through on us, had a better exit, so he was up the inside of us, and because I was on the wrong part of the track, I turned the wheel and just got nothing but understeer. So really, yeah, kind of. Well, it was really odd. I've never experienced anything like it in outdoor karting before. The change of grip levels offline, and you can see how much time we've lost. Yeah, we've lost 2 seconds or something by getting it wrong there. And now, unfortunately, we're not in a position when Jacob Harris ahead of us gets it wrong to capitalise as well. Although we are making a little bit of time back. We were far too far back. Sorry. Glenn Orford is another C2 driver. I believe this was his, or this is one of his a local track for him. So very, very handy around this place. Carl Walker as well, who's battling with Tim Penny for the championship in C2. Another local. He was untouchable today. Really, really good. Good driving from the local boys here. So very, like we got it all to do. The other thing that I just wanted to say very quickly is just another thank you to Alex Pritchard. I didn't get a chance to speak to Alex before testing in the morning, actually, but we did manage to find each other out on track during testing, and Alex followed me around for a bit, and we followed him around. We sort of did some overtaking practice as well, which is always good, and a great little chat afterwards to discuss as we go up the inside of Jacob Harris here. I'm going to give him room. We're not going to run him into the tyre barrier there, but by giving him room, we do compromise our exit a little bit. It would be sensible here, yeah. So thank you very much to Alex Pritchard again. Very, very useful conversations and testing that we're having together. So a quick look up the inside of Jacob. Not really going to go for the better exit, and we have got our better exit. We're sort of halfway alongside, but we do have track position. Jacob tries to hold it all around the outside, but it goes double right, and being on the inside is a really, really beneficial place to be there. So that is job done. And actually, as the group of 4 ahead of us have been fighting, they've kind of fallen back towards myself and Jacob Harris, who we've just overtaken there. We've got Nicholas Slepter. Sorry, I don't think I pronounced your name right. Sorry, Nicholas. But I will look it up. So if we've got time, Adam Wright's now at the front of this field. If we've got time, then we might be able to do something. But I believe, this is the final lap, and they are, I think, gonna fight. We might get them, but oh dear, just a little bit too much speed into turn 1. I saw it was the final lap board that had come out, and I thought, oh god, gotta rip everything out of the performance there. And you know what? I just took it too far and managed to overdrive and lose a load of time in turn 1. We are gaining on them, but I think we're probably going to run out of time. It's not likely. We've got Bill Taylor ahead of Nicholas, Glenn Orford and Adam Wright. These are all high quality drivers, and if you're going to overdrive, you're not going to overtake them, particularly when you've only got 1 lap to do it. So just left it a little bit too late. Probably needed to make fewer mistakes earlier in the heat there, and make a more a more clinical move on Jacob a little bit earlier. So this is heat 3 now, and another heat full of absolutely disgusting levels of talent. We've got Kyle Walker, who I mentioned earlier, ahead of us, Darrell Lowe, we've got Callan Sigafus, Mo Hassan, Tim Williams, who's just going wide. We've got the Holmes brothers again, Eric Gordon. There are others as well. This is probably the most talented heat I've ever faced all in one go. Who have we got? We've got someone up the inside there on the right. Tim Williams gets shuffled out wide. Oh, it's all nose to bumper. Everyone's hitting into each other. Look at Kyle Walker though. He goes very, very deep and cuts back and gets about 5 drivers on the exit. So that's useful to know, isn't it? Yeah, look at that. From the most experienced driver, I think, round here. We just go a little bit wide there, just get pushed a little bit wide. Again, on the wrong part of a track then, and we're having to give space on the inside. I believe Tim Williams is trying to go up the inside of us after a bit of a dodgy start. So I think we've gone down at least one place. Someone's got a penalty. It was quite a bumpy start, wasn't it, into turn 1 and 2. But just, you know what, on driving standards, I just want to say, because it's been a bit of a hot topic today not today. It's been a hot topic recently in Club 100. I thought the standard of driving and the standard of marshalling today was really, really good. There was Joe Holmes at the start of the day stood up and as one of the kind of the most successful and experienced drivers, gave us a talking to, which we just lose a place there to Tim Williams. Gave us a chat. Because obviously I think the issue is that people have been complaining about being nerfed out the way and things like that, but no one's really mentioned turning in that's been going on as well. And there has been instances where you kind of get up alongside someone, they know you're there, they turn in so that there's contact, and then the driver overtaking cops a penalty. So I think that there was so a little bit of ill feeling about that kind of behaviour as well. And so that was addressed, and the marshals did give us a little bit of leeway. There was a little bit more rubbing is racing today, which I think was much better. It was previously, if there was any contact made at all, then it was going to be a penalty on the behalf of the overtaking driver. So it was just so easy to know someone was up the inside of you, turn in on them, wave your hands around and get the other guy a penalty, which wasn't really on. But there was a little bit more rubbing racing, as we're going to see, actually perhaps not here, that's Kieran Chidsey, who gets sent fully off the road there. That's perhaps a little bit too much, but generally speaking, rubbing is racing, and as long as you leave space, like we did earlier, we didn't send Jacob Harris into the tyre wall. We gave him space. As long as everyone gives respectful racing room, then we can have a robust battle without copping silly penalties. So it's really, really, really good, I have to say. It was, and the whole atmosphere in the paddock was much happier. Now, I do think that probably a track like this is pretty wide, isn't it? And the curbs are generally flat. So if you are a little bit unsure, you can use some curb to avoid some contact and make sure that you've got, making sure that you're not. Or you can bail out of a move. There's runoff as well, isn't there? We've seen Mo Hassan using the runoff on the right hand side, that tyre wall there. So I think this is a well designed track, and does give drivers in the heat of battle. It does give us a few more options. So sometimes I sort of think, I look at the way tracks are designed and I just don't understand, why have you got a huge curve there which is going to smash carts? Why have you got no runoff? Why have you got pinch points in certain parts of the track? It's just going to cause accidents, isn't it? Which I suppose is probably quite good for the spectators. Although I'm sure no one wants to turn up and look at people crashing. I'm sure that's not what people are all about. onto this heat, we've got, I think this is Johan ahead of us, so we've got to make a move on him, and if we do, I believe we're down to 8th after the shuffling around at the start. We'd lost a couple of positions, but if we're able to overtake the driver just in front of us now, then we'll be back in our starting position. Ahead of us, we've got Mo Hassan and Tim Williams and someone else. To be honest, it's going to be pretty tricky to make more time up as I'm behind Johan. The chaps up ahead are making their way through, and we've lost a little bit of time, haven't we? We're not exactly all over his rear bumper, although I think we're gonna mount a challenge in the next lap or two. But we've just been perhaps overdriving again a little bit. My times did get slower throughout the day. I think that was predicted. It happened the day before in the SB60, and it was just a bit of a feature of the Club 100 tyres and how they were working on this track surface, and of course in the rubber that's laid down. Now we're going for a move up the inside, and have we made it work? Well, yes, we have at the moment. The driver we've just overtaken is on our left-hand side. There he is. So we're going to try and block past him as best we can. We give him space on the outside. So we're on the inside. He's on the outside. But have a look at this here. We just there. We take a big hit and we're sent fully off the road. Now, I wasn't very happy about that. So I put my foot down. I decided I'm going to keep that position because I was sent off the road a little bit unfairly. And then a little bit more contact on the exit. And he's on our inside. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, another push. And that, unfortunately, loses us the position. So I was a little bit unhappy about that, if I'm honest. We've been talking about making sure that we give each other room, and we don't shove drivers into tyre walls or entirely off the circuit. And on the exit of turn 1, I gave space, so I wanted that. No penalty for him, but it says final lap, doesn't it? So it might have been that there was a penalty for him, but it was just hidden because the final lap board was being shown. So trying to go a little bit slower in and hook up the apex for a better exit. So that is a better exit actually, isn't it? We've made a little bit more time up. We need to ensure that we're super clean, because really there's only one more, there's potentially a couple more overtaking places into this one here, but we're a little bit too far back, so let's go for a better exit. Now that's a nice exit. We just touch him ever so slightly, so it ruins it a little bit, but we're going to send it down the inside. A little bit of anger there, but it actually makes for quite a clear-cut move, and actually in many ways a safer move. So we get our position back on the final lap, penultimate corner, and there it was a P7.
Here's your grid then for the B final. It'll be Nicholas Stieper on pole for this one, with Edward Gordon alongside. Tom Angier and Paul Williams are on row 2. Stuart Jones and Jonathan Wilson are on row 3.
So P3 in the B final. To be honest, given the company I was keeping in my heats,
we are ready to go then for the B final. 12 minutes on the clock. Nicholas Stieper in the number 78 takes us from pole position down towards Degner 1 for the first time. The number 84 of Edward Gordon trying to find a way around the outside. This is going to be one of the difficult parts of the race as round goes. I think that was the number 84 of Kirkham, and other karts may be involved as well behind, and I think that's going to be a restart. Yes, it will be a restart. Drivers.
So we're going through our restart again then, and you can see here on the left hand side, the anti-pole side of the grid gets an amazing start, amazing traction off the line. Paul Williams there making a move all the way around the outside of Nicholas who started in P1. Nick hits the curb really hard there and sort of sends him or sends the rear wayward, which slows him down. Sucks for us as well because we were right behind him. We cut back and try and get the better exit, and we do nick, but now we've got Jockey as well. Jockey goes a little bit wide. We're side by side through the S's. We're going to try and go all the way around the outside. It's not quite going to work. We are into P4.
It is
All
indeed.
very, very tight in there. Reduced time is confirmed, 10 minutes for this one. Not seen any jump start penalties come through at our end, Howard. So I think that was the perfect start by Edward Gordon.
Yeah, that was brilliant stuff there. If it's called clean, and they might still be analysing that. I'm delighted to say, by the way, the rest of that lap superbly clean. 3 wide, 4 wide, no incidents. Everyone's still running in this one, which is great to see.
Tom Angier is already out of it. Penalty for multiple pieces of contact.
Okay.
So a couple already burnt through his 2 contact warnings on the first lap. Has got a third. He's got a penalty. Won't be able to go through.
So absolute disaster for me there. Multiple pieces of contacts got me. It was actually a 2-place penalty, which I didn't realise. I thought it was going to be a bigger penalty. I thought it was a bigger penalty. Looking back at this, I mean, even at the time, I couldn't quite see that what I'd done was penalty worthy. In the first lap, there's always a little bit of bumping. I was certainly getting a load of hits from the rear and side, and I know that I was bumping a few people as well, but I couldn't see that there was anything worth a penalty there. So I was a little bit disappointed. I suppose just because previously in the day in the heats, the marshals had given us a little bit more wiggle room. So I was a bit surprised to see a penalty, and that's obviously going to end our day now in terms of any ability to get into the A final. It's not going to happen. We're not going into the A final. Only the top 2 go through, so the maximum position we can get is P3. I didn't realise it was only a 2-place penalty. I thought it was more than that. I thought it was like a 6-place penalty. At this stage my head drops a little bit, and I'm sort of wondering, should I fight? I mean, I can't get into the A final, the drivers ahead of me can still. So this is the battle for P2, the last A final place. Ed Gordon has checked out. He's gone. He's gone. You might see him at the top of your picture there, just exiting the hairpin. But it's very unlikely we're going to catch him. He's not having to defend from anyone. There is still a race, though, isn't there? We are still racing. And if the opportunity presents itself, then I will go for a move. However, it must be really, really clean. I'm going to work together with Jockey Wilson here to see if we can put a move on Tim Williams.
Prizes.
They have caught up very quickly, so it's very much that Paul Williams is the bottleneck here,
The
side by
move.
side with Wilson.
Yep.
And this could be an opportunity now for Tom Angier to cut down the inside. Remember, he does have a penalty, but Wilson's got a great run out of the final corner. It's going to be down the inside into turn 1, into Degner 1 is through. Really good stuff from Jonathan Wilson. Now, can he hold on to second place? Through is going to come Angier and Kirkham as well. It's tough times for Paul Williams. He's going to run out wide now. Hassan and Sigafus may have a go as well. Down into the Holmes hairpin. Hassan does go for the move. Poor Paul Williams was holding on so well for that second place, but because the pack is all together, he's now losing 4, 5, 6, 7 positions and looking further and further unlikely to be in the A final.
Well, you and I were previewing the Club 100 iRacing Championships going to Talladega next, mate. They were bump drafting to get by on Paul there. To be honest, I think that Jonathan Wilson and Tom Angier were actually working together to make sure they had the advantage going into turn 1, and from then on it had Paul Williams offline and everyone went for the advantage. They frankly have no choice. They've got to be in it to win it with this one in terms of the promotion spots. That looked like Adrian Ray on the move there as well, possibly on Antonio Gitsonio, I think that was, into turn 1. So everyone just sort of had to go for it, as there's moves in the middle as well.
Nicholas Steeper is up to 9th place, going really nicely at the moment after a weak start. Could still be a factor in this race. This is a really important lap for Jonathan Wilson, I feel, to stamp his authority if he can on the rest of this order, to lead it out, to stretch it out, reduce the number of karts that you would say are realistically in the mix for these top 2 positions. Edward Gordon's gone. He's disappeared up the road. This is a beautiful position to be in when you're in this state where you're in the lead of the B final. You check over the shoulder and go, there's absolutely nobody behind me. And you have a lovely Sunday drive into the A final. Don't need to take any risks. 4.5 minutes remaining. Wilson is stamping his authority on this. It's absolutely fine. Tom Angier following him at the moment, because remember, that's a driver with a penalty So even if they were to change positions on the road, it would still be Jonathan Wilson taking the second spot into the A
He's
final.
got some difficult drivers behind to keep behind him, though, Andrew. How about Callan Sigafus? I don't believe Sigafus has failed to make the A final yet this year. The pressure is on here for the driver who's third in the Class 2 standings.
Yeah, and this is the kind of day where if you can recover back from this, it can make a championship bid. We spoke to him earlier. You'll see the paddock show for the heavyweights up after the A final. He was saying how he's trying to defend third place in the C2 standings right now. He's got a bit of a job on here with 3.5 minutes remaining. Wilson now starting to defend. Tom Angier goes down the inside. Now, I was going to say Wilson would be wise here to just sit behind the number 26. But again, that's not bad either, because he's got that rear gunner in the position in the form of Tom Angier. Mo Hassan needs to go for the move now. He is going for the move now. Spot on from Super Mo. And he's through into third on the road.
This is where Wilson needs to push, though, Andrew.
Yep.
When they're having these little contretemps behind him, he needs to be on it and using it to gain an advantage. Now Kirkham's down the inside. And this, just like we saw with Paul Williams, the momentum is lost now for Tom Angier. Although we knew he couldn't get the promotion with the penalty. No one else, well, those battling him don't know that. They just know that he's in their way and they need to be higher up the field. Callan Sigafus in the number 24, now on the back of Tom Angier.
So realistically, we're down to 4 now. Kirkham and Sigafus going side by side. Can Sigafus do a switch back here through and out of Holmes? No, he can't. So remember, Angie with that penalty will not go through, even if he wins the race, even if something happens to Edward Gordon ahead. And Tom Angier finishes first on the road. A contact warning is more than one position. Won't be classified in the top 2 at the end of this. 2 minutes 20 to go. Down the inside goes Sigafus on Kirkham. That's an important move.
Yep.
But Kirkham's going to come back here. Back down the inside.
Lovely stuff from Jason Kirkham. Really nicely judged. And this is allowing Mo Hassan to break away with Jonathan Wilson. It's allowing Hassan to isolate off the driver he needs to pass for the last of those promotion spots. These drivers, Andrew, need to fall back into line and work together for a bit because they're denying themselves. And you mentioned that Callan's trying to defend third in the championship from Class 2. One of the drivers he's defending that from is Edward Gordon, who's at the head of the field, and Darrell Lowe, who's already in the A. So there is the drop scores. Callan has missed one round, though, so that automatically becomes one of his rounds' worth of dropped scores. Jason Kirkham then in the 54. And then here is the battle for second place. Now they'll get plenty of laps go at it because Edward Gordon is so far out front. We've probably got another 2, possibly 3 laps here, actually, given how far ahead Gordon is. Mo Hassan having a look, though, into Shoemaker. That's a bold place to go for it. He's picking an interesting moment, and that's going to put Jonathan Wilson out a little bit wide there. I think that was the right side of robust. But we'll see how that one's called by Clark. And of course, the more notable thing for me, Andrew, is that it's allowed those behind to have a sniff of an opportunity here, because suddenly Jason Kirkham, and they've stopped battling, they've gathered up their discipline just as the opportunities are starting to come their way out ahead of them.
Mo Hassan has had a contact warning already in this race. That was before the pod-to-pod moment that we saw in the latter stages of Shoemaker's. Nothing has come up on my screen at the moment. I would call that one fair. That was one of those where they were pod to pod. It was a bit of a meeting, but I wouldn't say that Mo's number 53 was driving through. I always say, look at the front end of the cart. Is it pushing out of control and into the driver on the outside? I would not say that was the case.
There was overlap.
There was overlap.
Overlap ahead of the turn-in as well. And that's Sigafus up the inside of Kirkham. So that's a nice little move there into the hairpin. So
no more messages on the screen. So I think we are fine.
So as we enter the final couple of corners, just a recap of the day. Some real positives, battling with the Holmes brothers in Heat 1. Massive positive there. Obviously a little bit disappointed with the penalty in the end, but it is what it is. Well done to to Scott Parker making the A final. Well done to Antonio Gitsonio and Nathan Tague, who were in this B final as well, doing some excellent work there. The Mango boys doing a really great job. Really great to see them all. I will see you all for the next one, which will be Wilton Mill, and that will be coming up very shortly. I've also got a very interesting video to release regarding a new series called GX200. It's an owner-driver series. I've borrowed Mango mate Rich Melton Maxter's kart, so I look forward to showing that to you soon. Thanks ever so much for watching. See you on the next one.
Thanks for watching Mango Motorsport, a community for racing fanatics.